Hi, I'm Levin, and I'm making MythoMania, an action roguelike where you angered every god from every mythology, and now you have to survive. In the last video, I covered right up till the 100th day of development, where I now have a solid base for the game with a decent amount of content, menus, and polish and stuff. So in this video, I want to be starting on the second stage of the game, and also doing some much needed balancing, because the game is currently extremely easy, which isn't ideal. So in the last video, I completed the first area of the game, Mount Olympus, and by completed, I mean sort of. I plan on adding more decorations, stage variations, another boss, and other stuff to do in the first area eventually, as this stage will be the one that you start every game from, so I need to have a lot more variety than it currently does. But I'm starting on the second stage now, so I can move on to working on the mid-game, working on the balancing and tweaking things here. Plus, I'm getting tired of the mountains. So as one of the worst songs I've ever heard says, "Take me to the beach." This new area isn't actually a beach. I get a bit tired of that whole thing after my last project, but it's a stormy Nordic sea. Yeah, this area is based on Norse mythology, and where better to set that than in the middle of a raging storm in the middle of the sea. The platforms will be a mix of islands and ships, and there will be unique water enemies as well. I started off with this area by making a bunch of art, like a ton of art. Like, this is honestly the majority of the work I did for this whole month. I was actually really busy this month with college as well, and art is something I can do without having to log in and program, which is now what my schoolwork mostly is as well. So it's a bit hard to force myself to do even more programming for the game, but anyways, I made a boat, plus some barrels, and a background with waves and stormy clouds. I then redid the background, and then I redid it again. I'm pretty happy with the final background, and I think that the wave effect is decently convincing, plus the clouds look nice. So after getting the static arc done, it was time for some technical art. And by that, I mean the most important part of any game, the water. Water is kinda tough, but it's not when you steal it. So yeah, I used a free online package as a base, and it looks pretty solid after some adjustments, but there is one problem: it's not pixel art. So it's time to learn some shaders. Shaders have never made sense to me, but luckily a pixelate shader is incredibly simple, as it's not even really a shader. I have to render the layer to a lower resolution and then layer that on top of the camera, and it works really well. So yeah, this is what the Norse area looks like right now. I've started on making some islands and trees for the island, and I think that the water still needs some work. More boat parts would be nice as well. Making the Norse level should be interesting, but one aspect that I still need to figure out is the water physics. Normal water physics in a platformer like Mario kinda suck. They slow you down and just feels bad and floaty, so I want to do something completely unrealistic but fun. I'm thinking that whenever you jump in the water, you start sinking slowly, but then whenever you jump again, it shoots you out of the water. The deeper you are, the further it shoots you up, making it almost like a charge-up jump rather than water. I've done a little bit of prototyping for this mechanic, but I didn't complete it as I've mostly been focused on balancing. If you like what you see of the game and would like to support the channel, then be sure to check it out on Steam and wishlist it, as wishlisting really helps out my game and it's completely free. It's the biggest thing you can do for my channel outside of just, subscribing, and I really appreciate it. Oh boy. So the main issues with the game right now are that you get too many items stack in ways to quickly get overpowered, and player skill upgrades are also pretty broken. So first off, I want you to get less items, and so I doubled the price of standard chest, increasing them from 25 to 50. And I also continued to tweak values with money drops and combos. This is definitely not the final state it'll be in. And then the next part of balancing was nerfing some of the items, and some of the main items that needed nerfing were protection items. I actually originally thought that they would be pretty weak, but after playtesting, I realized that it was really easy to get nearly invincible by stacking items. One of the main suspects were Loki's chains, which give you a chance to dodge attacks. But dodging in this game just feels kinda stupid. I mean, you got hit and then didn't get punished for it because you were lucky, or because you had like 100 stacks of the item. I don't think this works really well in this game, so I removed it. I'll rework the chains eventually. Also, the Magatama, which makes you block the first damage instance of each wave, wasn't super strong. That is, unless you started stacking it, because each stage will give you another block every wave, so it basically got exponentially better, and especially if you were killing things quickly, you were basically invincible every single wave. So I reworked stacking to be much weaker, instead only increasing the max amount of shields you can have, and you only regenerate one shield per wave. Now it's a lot weaker, but it's also an item that both protects you from mistakes and rewards avoiding damage by giving you more shields to save up with. But it's also an item where there's a point where stacking more is more or less useless, as realistically you probably won't be able to fill up all your shields. And if you can, there's probably something better you could be spending it on. So I think this adds some strategy and planning to the item. I also nerfed some other items as well. Finally, most of the player upgrades were just really overtuned, with some instantly doubling the damage of your secondary attacks. so I mostly just reduced their stats a bunch because they're already pretty fun. I want the player upgrades to make your moves a bit stronger, but more importantly, more versatile. For instance, if you upgrade your secondary to shoot 2, instead of being insane and doubling your damage and attacking twice, now it just attacks twice, which can trigger 2 different proc effects or 2 stack status effects. So it's still more useful and slightly more damage, but it's no longer just insane. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. I've been working on my video editing and creation skills lately, as making games is important, but I also love making videos like this and I want to make them better. The voiceover for a video is super important to the experience, and so I've been following a Skillshare course over editing good sounding voiceovers. But if you don't know what Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with thousands of classes led by industry experts across film, design, freelancing, game development, and more. Skillshare can help you take your career, skills, hobbies, passions, or side hustles to the next level. Skillshare also now offers access to numerous classes and curated learning paths, which are sequential collections that help you master specific skills. For game development, you'll find categories on 3D modeling, animation, game design, sound design, and game engines like Unity or Unreal Engine. And if YouTube or devlogs are more your focus, there are also courses on video editing and social media creation. I've been exploring a YouTube success course taught by Marquez Brownlee myself. If you are interested in joining Skillshare, then you can use my link in the description. And the first 500 people to use this link will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Get started today. Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back to development. So I also added a new system this time, and it's called Gems. It's a similar system to selling items in a game like Enter the Gungeon or recycling items in Risk of Raid 2, but I'm tweaking it quite a bit to try to get it to fit in more of what I want this game to be. First off, I want you to be able to get rid of just some of a stack of an item. Instead of being forced to recycle them all like in Risk of Raid 2, you can instead just sell them one at a time, as many items in this game will have an ideal stack size, whether that be an objective cap to their usefulness, or just however many you think you'll need. And whenever you have any extra items that you don't want or don't need, then you can trade them at plutonium exchanges for gems. A gem is a common item that does nothing, but it can be traded for items at trading booths. 1 gem for a common item, 5 for a rare, and 15 for a godly item, and that's the same exchange rate you get for trading in the items. So you aren't limited to swapping items for those of the same rarity. Also importantly is that gems will be useful for things outside of the trading booths, especially whenever negotiating with the gods or leveling up your familiars, but that's for another devlog. This month I put the plutonium exchange and trading booths in, and I got both of them working. Plus I did some other related changes to items, like making it so that the item pop-ups can have a count instead of repeating the same item over and over again, which is useful for whenever you get like 5 gems in a row. And I also built out some UI for the new system. The gems more or less actually work already, although I want to eventually upgrade the art and also make it possible to lock the station in and save up some gem spirit or whatever. I think the gem system is pretty much done already. It'll probably continue to get some tweaks as I continue to fill out the gameplay loop for the game, but I think that it's already a pretty solid system. And the final thing I worked on this month was a new enemy, the Elf. This is a Norse enemy and a new ranged enemy who will be similar to the Centaur, although the arrows will seek the player, forcing the player to be more active in avoiding them. I got most of the art and animations done, but the enemy still needs some polishing. But that's all for this month. From now on, devlogs will be monthly. I was super busy with college this month, so I didn't really get all that much done, but hopefully next month will be better. Anyways, thanks for watching. Be sure to wishlist the game on Steam, and I will cry if you don't. Thanks again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and be sure to check them out. Okay, bye.